Welcome to the No Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Santos, with your co-hosts, Sam Schnee and Juliana McKenna. We're back for another week, guys, because consistency is our thing, all right? I'm not putting on this fake smile right now.
Late. Even though this is going up like a week late.
So let's start off with Sam.
Is it 2 weeks late?
I think it's 2 weeks late, but
It's
a lot has happened in these 2 weeks, which is why we actually have stuff to talk about. So it makes sense.
Yeah. We're trying to
Sam,
give you
lead us
guys
off, please.
a quality over quantity experience. Who's leading us off?
Sam.
All right, I think I'm leading us off. So decent amounts happened recently. School is coming to a close with me. I have 2 or 3 weeks left. I've already signed up for my classes for next quarter. I am officially going to be living on campus, which I'm so excited about. I officially got housing. I'm going to be rooming with the person I was supposed to be rooming with this year. And I'm going to be staying in the honors dorm, despite the fact that I'm no longer an honors student. For the viewers that don't know, because I don't think I've ever mentioned this, I was an honors student, but I dropped it because I didn't want to take a language requirement. I wanted to use that period of time to focus on other subjects that I was more interested in, so I dropped it. But they apparently didn't care, so I'm still going to the honors housing.
Is the honor housing very nice?
I don't think the housing itself, actually it is, because sophomores outside of honors aren't allowed to stay in dorms. You have to stay in like an apartment system, which is similar but more expensive. And so I get to stay in the dorms.
Oh, that's cool. Interesting.
Yeah,
okay. I'll move on to me. Oh, wait, did you have more?
Damn, just cut him off.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were trying to transition.
One last thing. We've all been over the weeks talking about working out. I finally, on this whiteboard here, I have a workout schedule fully planned out that I've been sticking to, which sucks. I hate it. But who cares? We're sticking with it. Getting gains.
There we go.
Inspirational right now. Now you can go, Juliana.
Oh my god, you have an entire oh my gosh, that's so much responsibility. I commend you.
Dude, if I don't have this thing, I'm not going to do it, because I mark off every one of the different exercises I do. And so it puts pressure on me. Like I see oh, this day I missed this exercise. Oh, I got to make that up. I got to get better at doing that. So it holds me accountable for actually working out.
I really do commend you, I swear. That's impressive. Okay, what has been going on? I have been going just through with school. School doesn't really end for me ever, so unless I choose it to, but it's just continuous. I don't get a summer break is what I'm trying to say. But anyway, school's going fine. It's fine. But I am planning on my moving situation. I'm planning to move in August, and I was just looking at housing, and I just signed up for the roommate newsletter for my particular school. So I'm looking for roommates within my school, or I might just move alone, and I'm still trying to figure that one out yet. I don't think I have anything near as professional as what Sam's doing, but I signed up for a gym membership, and so I went a couple times. So that's just me. Nothing, I'm not putting myself to any standard. It's just, I was incredibly bored and I needed something to do, which is not commendable. It's just, I need something to do with my days. Just been reading, been playing so much Legend of Zelda, because I used to have it on the Wii U, and then I sold that.
Which
one? Breath of the Wild. I'm replaying that one.
Got it.
I never finished Breath of the Wild. I never defeated Ganon. I just did all of the Divine Beast stuff, and then I gave up. So I'm doing it again on the Switch, and I am having a much better time on the Switch. It's so much easier, or now, just because of my knowledge, and also it's a Switch. And I really am obsessed with it. But I also needed a break, so I've stopped playing, because I was playing 48 hours in a row. Really bad. While still having
Zelda
school.
is really hot, to be fair. Just had to slap that in there.
She's definitely not 18.
She's 17.
Oh, okay, that's at least better, but that's still bad.
Well, she's a video game character.
Back to the James Charles situation.
She is a video game.
Anyway, That is so fun. And I've been listening to so much. If I'm going to give a recommendation to anything this week, I've been listening to so much of this particular podcast called the Simply Podlogical podcast. And it's run by the YouTube channel Simply Nailogical. And they are very smart and they have a lot to say. I recommend it.
Hey,
They also make you crush your dreams about the YouTube community because they just tell you like, "Ooh, YouTube is incredibly hard and you'll never succeed, and we are just very lucky in the statistical equation of it all," and it just makes you hate the idea of becoming a YouTuber. But a good bit of realism for you and for me. How about you, Josh?
That's nice right there, Juliana. If anyone doesn't know, Juliana has her own personal channel where she's striving to become a YouTuber and post like maybe once every other month, once every 3 months like that. So I'm sure she'll link it in the description or somewhere. But go and check her out because she's an up and coming star. I'm telling you.
Stop! Thank you.
For my like week or past like 2 weeks, I took a plane to Santa Barbara first class because that's how we do. And we booked first class tickets, went to Santa Barbara, got picked up in LA. We met up with some like girls there that were coming back from Hawaii. Went back to their apartment in Santa Barbara, and then we partied the entire weekend. Drove back Monday night, like at 3 a.m. Got home, woke up, didn't really do anything. Got sick because my little niece was like sick, and so I woke up with like a sore throat on Monday morning, and then partied again. And then Monday night, I made a decision. You know what? I might get the vaccine. I might not. Tuesday rolls around, I work out, party again on Tuesday night, and then I'm like, you know what? I'll get the vaccine. I woke up today, made an appointment at like 12 o'clock, drove there at 2, stayed in line for about 45 minutes, got my vaccine while I was sick to get even more sick, and now here I am thriving, guys. I'm telling you, I am thriving. I don't want to kill myself. I don't. No. So I just worked out before this.
You're the embodiment of bad decisions, dude. What the hell?
You don't even have to make an appointment to get the COVID vaccine anymore. So I'm just like,
you do.
Well, that's not what it says on the billboard.
Theoretically, you could go and just be like, "Hey, I know you aren't fully booked. Just take me," and they probably would. But you're still supposed to.
I'm surprised you could wait.
Make an appointment.
You had to wait 45 minutes. Wow.
Yeah, because like there's like an observation center, right? And they only like have like a 3-car limit for every observation line. And then there's also like, I don't know, they have their own logistical problems, but it is what it is. But I have been working out consistently since I got back from partying in Santa Barbara. Because just like what Sam said, it's not really to get like a good physique or like a certain body standard. It's just for your personal health and making sure you feel the best you can be.
Yep.
So that's my week, and I personally loved every second of it until this point.
There is a fairly major announcement having to do with the podcast, which, if we don't want to talk about this, we can cut it out. But Josh is joining the military. He's joining the Navy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, motherfucker forgot he was joining the Navy.
Did you forget?
I thought this was like some podcast major like announcement, which it is.
This is podcast because you're one of the 3 members of it is leaving.
No, yeah. I am joining it. I'm getting shipped out June 10th. Every Tuesday I have a PT meeting where I work out. Yesterday on Tuesday, I met like a high-ranking officer. He's a Master Chief, so E9, and it's like a lot of respect because he worked his way up 10, 15 years in the Navy. And it really just put some light on certain things for me. He also recommended getting me the vaccine, which is why I also got it. Because why not? And yeah, I'm joining the Navy, guys. I'm getting the Pfizer Bio. I got the Pfizer BioNTech, I think.
Yeah.
Pfizer gang.
Pfizer's.
Yeah, I am joining the Navy, guys. Yeah, June 10th. Getting shipped out.
Damn. Oh, I had one story.
Who knows what that'll mean for the future of the podcast. We'll be figuring it out as we go. We might start doing far fewer episodes just whenever Josh has any free time to record, or we might go on a break or try doing it just me and Juliana. We'll keep y'all updated.
Yeah. I have one.
You first.
I have one story. I just had a very interesting day and I thought I'd share it with the podcast because I haven't shared it yet. A couple days ago, I was just, living life. But my point is like my car broke down, and so I had to restart it. And once I did, I was like, okay, I'm gonna drive around, try to recharge the battery. Previous life. I decide, oh, I want to go to the city. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the city and just to recharge my battery. And so I'm going and I'm driving around and having fun. And I decide, just because like Telegraph Hill, Parrots, I'm like, I'm gonna go to Telegraph Hill and see what it's like. And I'm going around having fun. I end up finding a bunch of yard sales. I end up grabbing a lot of stuff. So like my car was entirely full of furniture. So the trip was already worth it. Very random, I understand. But after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna walk around Little Italy, gonna enjoy what's going on. And I was walking around and I reached this one restaurant and it had live music. Everyone was dancing, everyone was singing. And I haven't seen live music in over a year. I was so like, I couldn't even leave the restaurant. I had to stay and just like watch the music. And it was just so nice. I'd missed interactions and concerts and people for so long. And like seeing everybody being drunk and high and having fun. There was even a conure there. Like this lady had a conure on her back and she was smoking and she had him on his back. And it was just like so like everything I wanted in that moment. So I stayed. And after the concert, like we're tipping the musicians, I tipped this guy, and someone comes up to me and he's like, I just think it's just so amazing that you tipped that guy. Like, it just shows how human you are. Not many people are very human anymore. And I didn't really know how to take that. But anyway, it was this.
Do people not tip musicians anymore?
Some people don't.
Some people don't. But it was no reason for him to like come over. He was just flirting with me, is my point.
Yeah.
He's just. You're so amazing. You're so human. No one's human anymore. He was this 48-year-old, like, silver fox, like, guy that lives on a boat, and he called himself the crazy drunk. And I had a
Wait, he referred to himself as the crazy drunk?
Yes, he was very
What
drunk, very, very wine drunk. And he just was talking to me and talking to me and talking to me. And it was like a 2-hour conversation. And I mean, in the very beginning, I was like, I misspoke and I said, I'm under 18. But then I'm 18. But I just misspoke and quickly said like, oh, I'm under 18. Oh, I'm actually 18. But he didn't hear that because he was drunk. Then he got mad at me for lying. He was a very strange man. And
hey, weren't you drinking as well?
No. How am I gonna drink? I didn't bring my. I'm not drinking it. I'm not drinking. No, I'm just watching people drink.
Almost doubted yourself.
Doubted myself. I was sober the entire time, watching people be drunk. It was just like the vibes were so good. I had to stay. The vibes were so good, but it was. He didn't believe in the vaccine. He didn't believe in 9/11, and he just kept talking about that shit over and over and over. And he was like, "You've been injected with the vaccine. You're a fool." And all my sisters got injected with the vaccine, and they're fools, and they're done for, and their brains have been soiled. And like, weirdest guy ever, weirdest conversation ever. And I ended up leaving after 2 hours. It was a very good conversation, and my night would have been much more boring if he hadn't talked to me for 2 hours. But that's my story.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think you explored SF more in one night than I did like ever. Like,
Same here.
I just don't like going to SF. Like,
I don't either. It's so hard because you don't know what to do there sometimes. But the nightlife was perfect. Like you never like in San Francisco. Sometimes the nightlife is just hard to find, and you just see all these residential neighborhood houses or like shitty, scary areas, and you're like, well, I don't want to stop in either of these places. No, but the nightlife was perfect. It was like all the businesses were open, everyone was eating and having fun, the live music. I recommend it. Like if we all go out, I mean, we're not drinking, sorry Josh, but we could have a lot of fun. I mean, if we could, then we would. I'm not saying anything. If I could, I fucking would drink and just have all the fun and dancing. There was so much dancing. I want to go dancing again so badly. But anyway, that's my story.
I can hear it in your voice right there so badly. Like, you just broke right there. Like,
I mean what I say.
Well, anyways, looks like we all had a pretty eventful 2 weeks, 1.5 weeks, whatever period that we just last uploaded in, which is great because sometimes you forget in life how amazing life is, especially when you're quarantined and staying inside all day 24/7. And
I kind of agree.
you hit this like rinse and repeat button and you just do the exact same thing. You sometimes forget. Life is amazing.
I've been watching Josh's Snapchats recently. They look very fun. You look like you've been having a very fun time or a very busy time.
Stop! Don't flatter me. Come on. Oh! I forgot. I dyed my hair white.
Oh, it's even blonder.
It's even blonder now.
Take off the head.
It looks great. It looks really good. I haven't told you yet.
It's
not styled, right, but it's good.
Yeah, it's my hair.
Oh,
right
and
now.
you got all of it this time instead
all
of just
it.
the. Wow.
Did you go somewhere? Or did you do it yourself?
My friend did it in Santa Barbara, right before we were going out to like these huge ass parties. So it was perfect timing.
Damn, that's so cool. Did you like? Were they like really cool parties, or were they just like a bunch of people?
Well, in Santa Barbara, there's like the street called Ivy, and once you go to Ivy, there's like every house has a party. So you just jump around, and there's like hundreds of people. Thousands. There's probably 1,000 people.
Josh.
So you don't need invites. You just walk into some random person's house and just party.
Some houses they'll have like a bodyguard or like one of those frat like security guards, right? Like you can't come in, but you can come in. So some houses will have
like a bouncer.
A bouncer, yeah. But other houses you just walk in and you're good to go.
Wow.
Josh, we should go. Josh, we should go. Before you go.
Josh, we should go. Well, I've been down there 3 times in the past like 4 months. It's a nice place.
Well, next we have the Demon Slayer movie. We all went to see it.
Yeah, it's time to move into Anime Lovers Anonymous. Woo!
Woo!
Do.
All right, so I'll start.
What was that, Juliana?
She's crazy right now. She's living her best life.
Oh my gosh, the poor podcast people. I'm just sticking my tongue out. Nothing that exciting. But the Demon Slayer movie, we all went and we got to have the nice seats, got to enjoy it. There's nothing like being in a theater personally.
There was like 6 other people inside. It was empty.
Yeah.
So nice.
They were all like 8 of us were just concentrated in the back 2 rows in the center because everyone just wanted the best seats.
We stole this guy's seat. Yeah. Like we were sitting in the middle and he ended up coming. He's like, that's my seat.
Dude, I knew that was going to happen.
I felt it in my bones, but I was like, well, we're sitting here, so like, whatever.
We could have just sat down any other seat, like a seat to the right. Like, I don't know why he had to go specifically to his seat. Like, I know it's his seat, but like, there's so many seats out there.
Because if you think about it, that was one of the best seats in the theater. It was like dead center back row. It was a prime scene, so I'm sure he was like, "Oh, these motherfuckers came here."
We would have gotten it before him too, because we were like, "Oh, we were buying these tickets before the movie was coming out," and I was the one that was like, "Let's just sit off to the left." We could have sat in the middle and taken that fucker's seat, but
it's all Juliana's fault.
It's all my fault.
Everyone blame Juliana. All right, Josh, start us off. What do you think?
So personally, I was super excited for the movie because I hadn't like watched anime in a while. And when I sat down, at first I was really annoyed because I wasn't used to anime still. Because it's been a couple months. And then I just got so drawn into it. Like, there was these moments that just hit. And I would reflect on those moments in the movies with moments in my own life, obviously. So some correlation. And
wait, which ones? Which parts?
Tears. So one moment would be him when he's stuck in a dream. And he has to push his family. It is a spoiler. I'm sorry, guys, but you guys will probably never watch it because you guys don't really watch anime anyways. But here's the thing.
Do we know anything about our audience?
Don't they watch us because we like anime?
I don't know. I know at least one person. People, comment down below why you watch it, because apparently like 15 people actually watch us on YouTube. So
really? Wow.
If you watch us like on average around 15, comment down below either how you found us or why you watch us. And if you're on Spotify, feel free to hop on over to YouTube for a quick second. Still comment. We'd still love to hear from you.
If you're all my siblings and if you're my mother and my father, hi.
If you're Juliana 15 times, hello again. All right.
It's me at least 2 of those times because I'm rewatching the videos all the time.
All right.
Also, shout out to the Chicago people.
Hey.
We know who you are.
We know who you are.
All right. So anyways, from one moment specifically was like when he was stuck in a dream and he had his family, because spoiler alert, his entire family died in the previous season. And he had to make the decision to like continue to move on into reality and not stay stuck in the dream. even though like it takes a lot of heart and takes a lot of courage. And I just started bawling because I was like, damn, like damn, it was a moment, and I felt that.
It was so funny because I'm in the middle of these two. And on my right, I have Josh who's sniffling and crying, and I'm trying to comfort him. And then on my left, Juliana's over here laughing and heckling the movie.
Tell me, who's the sociopath? Who's the sociopath?
I'm just trying to peacefully enjoy my movie, and I got Josh silent and Juliana cracking up. And I'm sitting here like, you motherfuckers better be quiet so I can enjoy this movie.
Lord. It's so funny. Oh my god. I don't know why it makes me crack up. I can't talk about it. Josh, keep going.
So anyways, there was that moment right there, and then there's also another moment where I think that just spoke humanity in one essence, which is there's the villain, obviously the antagonist, and there's obviously a protagonist, but there's also another protagonist where that's like a hero or a mentor. And the mentor was fighting with the antagonist, and he was giving it his all and all that. And then at the last moment, the mentor dies. And the protagonist chases after the antagonist because the sun starts to come, and demons can't be in the sun, obviously. And the antagonist starts to run in the forest, and the protagonist keeps saying, why is it always like this? Why do we have to try our best and we still fail? He gave it his all, and he was going to win. But you only won because you have these crazy abilities, some bullshit abilities that shouldn't be possible. And the protagonist was bawling his eyes out, and I was bawling my eyes out because it's so true. In real life, you just can't control some things, and you give it your best, and you still fail. And I just related to that so much, and I was bawling again.
I honestly found the movie a little funny. We watched this one review of it after the fact, and I feel like the guy who reviewed it really did a wonderful job. But because Josh sent us the link, he like acknowledged the fact that there was a lot of this? Like last week.
Yeah, really?
It was on the group chat. Yeah, it's in the group chat.
Really? I missed
Sam,
that.
You dropped.
Whoops.
You dropped the ball.
My bad.
Flopping the ball in those students
kebab. Yeah, I didn't watch that.
But
anyways,
he acknowledged the fact that there's a lot of cliche tropes, like for example, like the bad guy. Yeah, that's the only one I can really think of. I can't really think of all the cliches.
The bad guy.
The bad guy being like his dialogue was very cliche. The dialogue of like what was happening in some of these dreams was a little cliche. Like they were just like I can't remember their names. But the two boys that are with
describe them as people.
Yeah, Tanjiro, the two guys with
Are we talking about the lightning boy or the boar?
Both of them, the two of those two.
Okay.
And they like both of their dreams were centered around Nezuko, and like have like they wanted to have her in her dream or something. Like it was just very cliche boy dreams.
Though the boars wasn't centered around Nezuko.
His was really weird. Like they were all like rats.
That's the point.
And it was adorable. It was so cute.
The entire thing was that he isn't the one. He's never the one in power, and so in this dream, the other three are now like subservient to him. And so he gets to boss everyone else around.
It's a cliche thing to be like, I want the power, so this is my fantasy world where I get to be in control. That trope is cliche in its own way, but it's also like they did a fabulous job with this movie. The animation is gorgeous. It's nice that they use the story from the actual manga series. A lot of movies never contribute to the actual TV shows, and they're not parts of the mangas. They're just something that's like side stories that aren't, they're like OVAs. They're not really the same stuff. So this movie really fit this arc that was in the manga in a really tightly knit way. And it was gorgeous. So,
and it seems like season 2 of Demon Slayer will also be picking up where this movie left off, which I do love, that it's not some like nonsense, non-canon bullshit.
I really appreciate that too. I love that. I think that's really great. And I just think that the movie itself, just like there were parts of the movie that for me were a little cliche, and I didn't appreciate, I don't know, like for example, this is spoilers again. This is a spoilers moment. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. You can watch it at the movie theaters. You can figure it out. You'll pirate it. I don't know how you do it. I don't really care. Just try to go to the movie theaters. Hashira dies. The orange-haired guy looks like a lion. He dies. and they're just crying over his body, and they're so upset and they're so distraught.
I did hate that moment.
I thought that moment was so cheesy. Not only was it very long, which is something that Sam mentioned, and I it's the only thing I could think of at the moment, but like it was a very long scene, and also it just didn't really make a lot of sense because they didn't know him very well. They had only known him for like maybe a dozen chapters or 2 dozen chapters. It just didn't really make a lot of sense for them to have such an emotional attachment to someone, and we didn't really see his character grow throughout the movie. We saw glimpses of moments, like in his dream. We got to see parts of his dream, but his dream wasn't as emotional as Tanjiro's. Like Tanjiro had the most substantial dream, and then like the two of his friends, like they were very silly dreams, and the Hashida's dream was very substantial, but it wasn't fleshed out as much as I had wanted it to, because I felt like I was losing information. So it just didn't make sense to me that they were sobbing. It just didn't work for me. And I really don't appreciate like Tanjiro, like in the end, like he's like throwing a sword at this demon who kills the Hashira, and it doesn't make any sense.
He loses the sword, I'm pretty sure. I do partially disagree with that. I didn't enjoy the scene. I thought it was a bad scene. I'll explain why, but I did think it made sense because first of all, they've now gone on a mission, risked their life with this person, which is kind of a lesser thing, but also this is one of the 8 or so people that they look up to the most. It's like the people that they are aspiring to be. Like when, I don't know, whenever any celebrity dies, there's tons of fans who are seen just crying, which I think is a whole other issue. So I think it's understandable, but the reason I hated it is because they were crying and yelling for probably like 5 minutes or so, and I personally have a problem with crying in anime anyways, because it's not normal crying. They cry like, ah, like they just scream. They scream, but with tears coming out of their eyes.
This is how I scream. This is how I cry. I am personally offended.
But it's so strange because it's just constant screaming.
I love anime.
I don't know.
Crying.
It just annoys me, but whatever.
I definitely agree with Sam. Like the crying was a bit annoying, but I have to completely disagree with Juliana because it made sense why the scene happened and why they was crying. Because when a mentor dies, you look up with them, even if you weren't with them for a while. Just a day or a couple hours is enough for you to become attached, especially if you're looking up to them. If they're in a field that's similar to yours, where they had to work really hard, go through so many different experiences, and you share the same, grief with them, which is defending people, sometimes not making it there to defend them, letting people get slaughtered because you're not fast enough or the enemy's too strong. So I really related to that. And I think, Tanjiro related to it too, and his teammates, and that's why they cried. And that's why even when he was running away, he threw that sword because it was a symbol. It was a symbol saying, you know what, right now I'm not strong enough. Right now I can only cry on the sideline and be a little bitch. For soon in the future, in my come up arc, where I'm gonna trade my ass off, I'm gonna get to the point where I can actually be better than my mentor, where I can defend those families, where I won't want the same thing that happened to me in the past.
That's completely true. I totally agree with that notion of like it's a symbol. It symbolizes like I'm gonna get you for this. Not only am I taking revenge for my family in this entire story, I'm taking revenge for this man. And you're gonna die. And I thought that was in itself is very powerful. And I'm also not saying that men aren't allowed to cry. That is definitely not my point. The point, it felt like satire.
Did any of us think that was the point?
Okay, I just want to make sure that's not where it sounds like. It to me, it didn't feel respectful to someone's death, and I don't know why this is important to me, but I'm not really trying to have anything religious in this. I'm just saying like it would make a lot of sense to me for them to like pray for him to like go into the afterlife or to like give him a proper burial. Like those are things that I would consider to be like very respectful things to do for dead people. And that didn't really happen, except like once the news spread out that this man died, like one of the men who is like, he cries all the time and he's one of the 8 important, I
love him.
He cries so and he gives the sweet little prayer. And I think that really like gave everything that I wanted in the end.
His entire shtick is that he's like a monk, I guess, and he's so emotional that like anything good, anything bad, anything period just makes him break down into tears, and I think it's such a fun character.
He ended up giving me exactly what I wanted. I like the fleshing out of everyone figuring out that this very beloved man had died, like really resolved everything for me. But in that particular scene, I was like, shut up. You can keep crying, but just like move on. Let's move on. Or you can feel upset. But I think that the movie itself, I mean, we haven't really talked about it. It's called The Demon Slayer on the Mugen Train. So they're dealing with their dreams because the demon itself is putting them under dreams, spells, slumber.
He's more or less putting them into a deep sleep that theoretically they should never be able to wake up from. And it should allow the demon to just kill them in their sleep.
It's a great premise, and I think I personally, I was fighting for this. I was like, this is like Clue. I kept on saying that. That's not what Clue is about. I just was like, this is Clue. This is Clue. Which I was thinking of Murder on the Orient Express. I've never even seen the movie. I had no idea what I was talking about.
We had the biggest debate in the parking lot because Juliana kept bringing up, oh yeah, it's such a cliche. It's such a cliche about this and that. And Sam would be like, okay, where in that cliche was it similar to this movie where there's obviously a cliche? And Sam was, oh my God.
She was saying, okay, so one thing that she was saying was cliche was the fact that it took place on a train, which I feel like is way too vague of anything to be called a cliche. Like there's this movie, which is like an action movie that takes place on a train. There's Murder on the Orient Express, which is a murder mystery on a train.
There's an episode of Adventure Time called Infinity Train where they're on the train forever and they never leave until they die.
There's also a movie about that where more or less like the outside world is complete ass, and so now all like the entire rest of humanity is now on this train that does just a circle of the globe. You're doing stuff like that proves your point in any way, Juliana, which it absolutely does not.
It proves my point. Trains are overrated.
Your point wasn't trains are overrated. Your point was it was a cliche that it was on a train, which it absolutely wasn't. The fact that it is purely on a train is not enough to make it a cliche. If there have been like 10 murder mysteries on a train and you're like, oh, someone got murdered on a train and now they have to figure out why it was, that would be a cliche. But just being like, this movie takes place on a train.
That's the whole premise of the story. The whole story is like they're hired on a mission to figure out why people are dying on this train.
They figure out within the first like 2 minutes. They're like, oh, it's him.
But it's like you just said the synopsis of like their mission. That was their mission title.
Their mission is to kill a dude. Their mission is to murder someone.
I'm not gonna keep going into this, but obviously I could continue with my train thing. It's a little silly. I should stop. I'll stop.
Well, I guess we'll just leave it off there for Anime Lovers Anonymous because we truly went in depth there with our personal opinions and, you know, stupid opinions and other stupid opinions. But like, don't worry about it, guys. It's all good.
Calm down.
Well, we can watch about what have we been seeing.
Nothing.
I haven't watched anything either.
All the animes that I was enjoying have ended, and now I'm just waiting for the next season. There's some good looking ones. I don't know the names of any of them. I've just seen trailers and they look fun.
To Your Infinity still's going on. Are you watching that? To Your Eternity?
Oh, yeah. There's that one at Tokyo Revengers, which I talked about previously. I was enjoying To Your Eternity, so I probably should continue to do that. I'll be honest, I recently started playing Hollow Knight, and so now that's kind of all I've been doing.
There you go.
So I've not been watching anime.
I highly recommend Fruits Basket again. I'm just gonna keep going with that. If you just keep on, I recommend it every week. It gets better every week. I swear to God, I can't believe they outdo the bar every time. So that's my recommendation. But yeah.
And those of you that want to hear a more in-depth description about Fruits Basket, go to Juliana's channel. That's a link in the description right there. All right.
This is sponsored by Juliana McKenna.
Fruits Basket?
I have definitely no, I don't. But I guess I should make one now.
You have. I've watched one of your vlogs. You go like somewhat in depth on that.
Oh, but like
Lies.
I
There you
definitely
go.
I'll
Lies.
make a dedicated
know-
video to Fruits
Doesn't
Basket.
even know her
I'll
own
make-
content. Like,
No,
imagine.
but I don't have a
Imagine.
dedicated video to it, but I'll make one. I will make one now.
So transitioning. All right, we were talking about this earlier, right before the movie like actually happened, like in those trailer sections of the movie. When you get a text from somebody that you're supposed to hang out with that like later tonight, and they say, "Hey, I can't hang out anymore. Like, I'm gonna watch my parents play golf." Okay, let's just use that bullshit excuse. And then you see later, like 2 hours later, on their Snapchat, they posted on their story, partying out in LA, which is the complete opposite than what they said. This vaccine is affecting me. Someone take this over. Like, I swear.
All right, so
Okay,
more or less,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, so more or less what we were talking about is Juliana was going to hook up with this dude.
Wait, I should tell this then. I should tell this.
You told me to tell it.
I didn't know that you were going to talk about me. I didn't realize.
I feel so weak.
This is about
context.
me. I'm sorry. I will take it back. I'm going to take this back from here. This is about me, so I'm going to tell it. I was talking about on the podcast a couple weeks, last episode, that I don't remember. We didn't give him a name, but anyway, he wanted me to come over to Reno, and so I was planning on going over to Reno. And last minute, he's like, "I have finals. I can't hang out. I'm so sorry. I didn't even think about it." I'm like, "Well, I don't really care." I didn't really care. I was like, "Okay, bye." And I see on his Snapchat, like a day later, he's partying, the beer pong, all the fun things, the girls, the beaches, not the beaches. I meant to say the pools. Like he's having a blast. And I'm like, okay,
At home
that's
beaches.
completely different from finals. Like he was saying that he had a final on Sunday. That doesn't make any sense. Unless it does. I don't really know. But I didn't really care anymore because he was having
classes
parties.
will have finals due over the weekend.
Josh is my
So it's possible.
Josh is like,
Oh, sorry, my niece is like right in front of me.
Oh!
No, my niece is like right in front of me. The kid like putting her nose through like the door, and so she's just smushing her entire face. Like,
that's really cute. Oh my god, I don't hate kids, but that's adorable. That's adorable. Anyway,
she hates them specifically. You know, it's got to be a certain kid.
no, I've never met her, but I'd love to. I'm sure she's adorable.
Josh's niece, Juliana, hates you. I don't know if you probably don't watch this, but Juliana hates you.
Okay, the partying. And when someone lies to you, the point of this is when someone ghosts you, are they a good person or not?
Wait, no, it's not ghost you. It's if they lie about what they're doing, even though they told you they were going to do something different, and they canceled on you to do that. So that's what you're asking. Juliana said it doesn't matter, but me and Sam say that it obviously hurts us, and you just tell us the truth. And it does matter. I think it's
I said that guy. I mean, like he's an asshole for lying to me. Like I don't appreciate being lied to, but I mean that in itself, like him dropping, like I'd rather have him told me, "Hey, there's a bunch of parties happening this weekend, so I'd rather party than hang out with you." I would have been rather told that instead of been lied to. And even then, like I would probably still not be interested in the idea of seeing him because it's like, well, if I'm not your first priority, you're obviously not interested in me enough to like actually pursue hanging out or going on a date or whatever. So it might not even be worth my time. And it's a 3-hour drive to get there. So like it might really not be worth my time. But he actually tried to reach out to me and then I ghosted him. I think that's why I said ghosted. I ghosted him. So that's not good. Don't do that.
The moral of the story here is if you're going to lie to someone about what you're doing in order to ditch them, don't be a dumbass and post about it on social media.
That is true.
The main way you're talking to that person is probably on social media, so they're going to see what you're doing. Just people, please stop being so stupid.
Sam is so upset for me. I'm kidding. Just in general. Has it happened to you ever?
In general.
No, I think it's happened to all of us.
I don't know. If it has happened to me, I'm not on social media, so how the hell would I know? Like I'm sure people have been like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I have to go to my dog's bar mitzvah."
Is this a thing?
No, that's not an actual example. Okay. It's the first fake scenario that came to my mind. And then like just gone and like hung out with someone else or done some shit like that. I'm sure that's happened, but whatever. I've
What about
done
you,
that.
Josh?
I'm gonna be honest. I've done it too.
I've definitely
Damn.
done it too. I'm just trying to think if I've ever done it like to you guys specifically.
I know you have. We have an example
You
of it.
definitely have.
There was
Do
a
we?
night where we wanted to have edibles at my house, and Josh was like, "I might come, I might not. I'm partying."
No, he didn't lie. He just
You
ditched
didn't
us for a
lie.
party.
You didn't lie to us though, so that is different. So I can't
Sure,
think of a
see?
time that you lied.
Honesty right there.
Yeah.
I forget why we were so intense like before the movie. I forget who took what like argument, but it was super intense because the other one had a strong opinion about it.
I know. I
you guys-
can't remember anymore.
you guys
I
remember,
thought you
like-
said that like it's fine to lie, or like sometimes you have to lie in some circumstances.
Yeah, I think you do have
I
to
think
lie in
that's
some
true, yeah.
circumstances. Yeah,
I
because
remember that.
sometimes in life
I
you
don't agree with
privacy.
that though. I think that honesty is like really important to me. I don't like lying. I told my parents about like the entire like 48-year-old drunk bitch who was like, "Oh, yada yada yada, you're so hot," or like, "You're
So
beautiful."
that's just like an anecdotal thing.
Wait.
That's not something that would require you hiding it from your family.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
That would
would
just
you,
feel like,
like-
oh my god, this crazy thing happened. That wouldn't be like,
It
oh,
could
I
have been
like-
like something. It could have been something like, say, if he was like my age and like someone was flirting with me and I went off and hooked up with him. Like, I don't think I would tell my family that.
yeah, so that would be a story, but that would be something that you would potentially hide from your parents. But it was just some old drunk dude talking at you for 2 hours. Like, that's not something you hide from your parents because there's nothing to hide.
Hmm.
Like, if you don't tell them, it's probably because like
But I
nothing
need,
actually happened.
I definitely need your perspective on it because I only know my own perspective. So hearing this, I don't even know what to think of it. So that's good to know. It's like it's a
He
drunk,
sounds like a
drunk
weirdo,
man.
but he sounds like a weirdo, but I don't know.
I don't even know how it comes off as I tell it because I imagine it as something like it was I don't know. I can't really go back into it more and more, but what you're describing is not how I see it. So it's interesting to hear your perspective. But with the guy from Reno, at the end of the day, just stay home.
Just stay home.
Josh, take notes. Just stay home.
No, Josh has fun nights. I need to go with Josh and have all these fun drinking nights.
Quick thing, to the commenter Jesselyn, we did see your comment. We unfortunately did not have time to look into the topic you wanted us to cover, so we
What was
will. She wanted us to go and find the worst WikiHow articles and then compare them.
Oh.
She thought that would be fun, which I also think sounds pretty entertaining.
Yeah, we can do that next week.
Yeah, so we will do that next week. Just know that we're not ignoring your comment. We will get to that.
Thank you,
So-
Jesselyn.
Moving on to our final topic for the day, which is, again, coming thanks to my ethics class, which is talking about the concept of immortality and whether or not we would like to be immortal. And so immortality comes in different forms in different types of media. So I'm going to set some ground rules, which is you cannot die and cannot be killed. Meaning you also can't commit suicide. These are now separate powers, but I'm going to add them on because it would make immortality more livable. You do not age. You will stay at, let's say, like 25 or something, like in your 20s. So you're in like a good time of your life. And you will eventually heal from most injuries. Meaning, like, if you fell off of a building, you wouldn't just be like a puddle of soup for all of eternity that can't die. Like, you would eventually heal. It might take a while and you still experience pain, but you would eventually go back to normal.
That's just crazy. A puddle of soup. That's a great, like, oh, I can't imagine for our podcast listeners, like, what that they hear when they hear that. I hear, oh, anyway. What do you think, Sam? What do you think? Would you want to be immortal?
Personally, no, I think immortality would be horrible. Because I think a longer lifespan would be fantastic so that I would have enough time to go and explore whatever I wanted. I could go and I could study different things in college and I could do all this different stuff. But living for an infinite amount of time would be horrible because eventually you would just run out of stuff to do. And it might take like hundreds, maybe thousands of years, but eventually you will have done everything there is to do, experienced everything there is to experience. And then you'll be stuck. You'll still have nothing to do. Because keep in mind, you don't have additional powers. You don't have infinite money. You can't teleport or anything like that. You're still restricted by society. And so I personally think it would be quite painful to be immortal.
I agree. I agree that immortality sounds terrible, but like back to your, I don't actually remember if you made this point, but I like the idea of having your body of like a 25-year-old for your entire lifetime. You were saying like you'd like to live a longer life. To be able to look like you did when you were 25 for your entire life, like youthfulness and beauty, like I guess it's important to me just because like I'm a woman or whatever, but like at the same time, like your agility is the same as when you were when you were 25.
We care about our looks too.
Boom. There you go. So like it being 25 your entire life, like that sounds like sick in its own way and also like completely unrelatable.
But you're 25 forever.
Yeah. I know. Like immortality
hundreds and thousands of lifespans.
Like, do you just want me to say like, no, I don't want to be immortal? Because like that's ultimately my answer. Like, I don't want to be immortal. Like, it's not for me. But at the same time, like parts of it sound sweet, and it's just interesting. Like people that want to be immortal forever. Like, I really do wonder like what is the motive? Because like we have two no's of like, no, we don't want to be immortal. But there are people that do, and like now I'm curious, like why? Why would you want to be immortal? But
Josh, what's your take? Oh, sorry.
There's this one movie like Age of Adeline, and she lives like all these multiple lives, like also Wonder Woman, for example, because she has a very long lifespan, and she lives all these wonderfully different lives, and like that looks quite incredible, and it's commendable, but you're incredibly alone. And they mention this in the Wonder Woman 1984 movie where she like loses the love of her life and he comes back and she's like so happy and she is so lonely in her immortality. And she can't see herself living without him, but living with him is like the end of the world. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But that also gives me like evidence to like, why would I want to live forever? So to answer your question, no, I would like to live a very short 80 years of life, 90 years of life, if I could.
Josh, what about you?
I think normally I would say no, just as you guys would. But I think today I'll say yes, just to play devil's advocate, and also like to try and maybe gain a different perspective. That would actually maybe make me like change my mind, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I would say yes this time would be doing all those experiences and trying out a new life every time. So obviously you'd stay the same person, but you could try a different career, a different friendship, a different relationship in every single way. So to keep things interesting, obviously. And then obviously, I think we take death all super differently because we don't really know what's going to happen. Some people think it's religious. Some people think it's not. Some people think it's something else, right? But when you're not going to die, you don't really feel a certain pressure, I think. You don't have to. Yeah. You don't have a pressure when it comes to, death or not being able to live out certain things or to do other things, which is why life is great, but also why life is horrible. So I think when you're staying alive forever, you're obviously going to have it's great and it's horrible as well, but it's what you make of it at the end of the day. Sometimes the media like makes us portray certain things, and I think being immortal is often portrayed as being horrible as well. But if you don't really give it a shot, then that's all you're ever going to think, right? You're never going to think it's great because you're always thinking it's bad. So I think there's a lot of benefits. There's also some cons. But I think I would definitely give it a try if I had the option to. Because there's so many things in this world that are amazing that I probably will never get to try.
Wait, have any of you seen Yona of the Dawn? Have you heard of that manga series, Yona of the Dawn? It's also an anime.
Nope.
No.
There's this one character, and like there's 4 people, and they have very specific attributes that make them very powerful. One of them is this guy lives forever, and he's lived like multiple lives and seen many reincarnations of people. But the point is that what he does with his lifespan is that he sleeps through major events in history, because he can't handle it sometimes. Like, he gets so overwhelmed with all the wonderful things that happen in one person's lifetime that he can't handle another person's lifetime, so he sleeps for like 1,000 years or 500 years. Then he wakes up, lives another lifespan, and once those people die, he goes back to sleep. So if I could live an immortality, a life that was immortal, I would imagine myself to be using a lot of my immortality to sleep through history. And I would sleep through the global warming issues. I would sleep through a pandemic, and like I wouldn't even know it existed. So that seems kind of interesting.
And one potential counter to the argument I made of like, oh, eventually you'll try everything and you'll get bored is there's a chance that society will progress fast enough that you'll always have new stuff to do. Like new technology will be invented. VR is just starting to be fully developed. Who knows what that'll bring? Commercial space travel is just starting to become a thing. You could. Why are you giving me that look? Yeah.
Wait, but like no one's going to Mars, right? No one's going.
Not
like
yet,
once you go to Mars, you're not
live,
coming back.
If
right?
you live, if you're immortal, at some point we're gonna get to. I'm suspecting that at some point humanity is gonna progress to the point where traveling to Mars is the same as like going and driving for us like to San Francisco, where it'll just be like an easy thing to do. Not necessarily it'll take the same amount of time, but it'll be as casual, where you're just oh, hold on, let me go and instead of take the bus to San Francisco, it's let me go and take the spaceship to Mars. Like I suspect that we as a society, if we can figure out how to not wipe ourselves out, we'll manage to get to that point.
Yeah, newsflash, this world can't handle us for too much longer. Like, we're going to have to try intergalactic space travel sooner or later. Because we're destroying our own world, and it's not going to last any much longer.
Yeah, though, actually, like,
it's just like irreparable damage is going to happen in like 9 years or something, right? Like, but the world's going to last. It's just, it's going to become shittier and shittier and shittier and shittier and grosser and nastier. Right?
Yeah, so that is something that I had, a distinction I had heard, which is, the Earth is going to be fine. What's going to be screwed is us. Because we're not going to like blow up Earth. We're going to just make it so that we can't live here anymore. And if we eventually get wiped out or are forced to leave, the Earth will eventually be we'll just be fine how it is. And life will adapt and change on Earth. So the planet is going to be fine. But we as a species might be fucked.
I have no idea. Like living on Mars, like didn't they just recently find water on Mars? And that's like how much water is on Mars?
No, they found traces.
Or it's like not even
water in the past. Water in the past.
Oh,
I think they found like traces of subsurface ice, I think.
Yeah.
So like where's the water? Like how are people really living on Mars? I know that like a lot of people have talked about how rich people are going to be the people that live on Mars, and like all of us poor slummers are just gonna chill here and die and live in nasty Earthland and get lung cancer or
what have you been reading? What?
Well, this is just this is more like a very fantastical like version of what could potentially happen. Not really what might happen because we don't know, but like this is like Walking Dead, for example. That's a very fantastical version of like the apocalypse. That's kind of what I mean. I know I'm going into like some fantasy moment.
So also, I don't think from a more like going back to a more scientific point of view, I don't think people are really thinking about replacing Earth with Mars. I don't think Mars has the capabilities to sustain human life. I think we're looking at planets outside of our solar system as potentially where we would have to go.
That's kind of sick.
I think it's kind of like you can think of it like this: how the U.S. have like army bases all around the world, like an army base in Japan. It's kind of like a transit point, you know. like in Mars, we'll have a transit point from Mars to another planet, where we have some tons of supplies, people, parts.
Yeah,
I like that.
Gosh, I wish I remember this title of this movie. It was it was a very good movie, but it was very like Republican. And I don't know why I say that. It's not like trying to be mean or anything. It's just like it was like very military based. The end of the world was coming. Asteroids were hitting the Earth. And everyone was like, and very important people were being told by the government to go to military bases, and they were going to be shipped to like very safe points in the world that weren't going to get hit by asteroids, and they were going to wait until the asteroids stopped hitting the Earth, and then they would use those people with very special job skills to rebuild our world.
How
And
was it Republican based? What?
like it's like the military,
that
like
just sounds
there's
like action.
so
It kind of
like
sounds like action movie.
when you
Yeah.
study like film, they talk about like when movies have military based in them, it's projecting a political agenda that the military is very important, and without the military we wouldn't be able to survive certain situations like these, when that
So
may or
that's
may
like-
not be entirely true.
So
So
that's like half of all action movies, if not
Yeah.
more. Because
like,
almost all action movies are in some way military based, whether
there's
it's like individuals from the military or just the military in general.
There's no party basis right there. It's just the military.
no, it's not party basis. It's just that like the setting was in Kentucky, for example, and it's like these people like it's the setting isn't like the coastlines. Like a lot of stories are based on the coastlines, like Hollywood movies is what I'm referring to. Like they're very like Hollywood tends to be very liberal. So in comparison, this movie isn't portraying itself to be a very liberal movie, and like I don't really mean to like say anything. I'm not trying to say anything bad about it. It was a very good movie. It like
I don't know how you
it was
save
a
this.
really
I don't know
good
how you save
movie.
this.
No, it was a really good movie. I highly recommend it. Like I just can't
What was the
remember it.
movie?
I'm gonna have to look it up, but it was really good. I just keep saying that.
I don't know
But
what it is, but go watch it.
the main characters, they are trying to get themselves to Greenland in order to protect their family, and they have to deal with
Shout out
like
Greenland.
oh, the guy had to deal with this guy who's Irish, and he had to deal with racism for being an Irish immigrant or a Scottish immigrant. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But anyway, like they were like, oh, you got chosen to go to these government bunkers. He couldn't go because of the government, like something blew up, so he wasn't able to go, and he had to go to Greenland on his own. But this man came to him and he was like, oh, well, why did the government choose for you to go to these bunkers if you're like an immigrant? You're a first generation immigrant from Scotland. Like no, like Americans have the right to be getting on these flights, not some immigrant like you. And so this guy like tries to like kill him. Like he has a hammer and he's like, give me your wristband that the government gives you, and if you don't give me your wristband, I'm gonna kill you. And he was like, I'm not giving it to you. And so he has to kill the man in order to get him off his back. It's very
Yikers, bro.
It's the end of the world. Like asteroids, lots of dead people everywhere. Like there's this one Vine star from it, King Bach. I don't know if any of you know who he is, but he was in this movie and he was the token black guy that dies. Like random things like that, like Hollywood token shit like that.
I want to go out on a limb. I haven't watched the movie, but I don't think it was like just based like racist. I think it was more of a.
No, it's not racist. It's not racist. It's conservative. That's different.
It's not even conservative because all you mentioned was military based, and just being military based isn't conservative.
Or potentially the immigrant thing was potentially a stronger argument for it, but
no, I was just about to touch on that. I think it mentioned immigrant because as an American citizen to be not given access to go to an American base, I think it was more of like a skill basis, and that's why the immigrant went to the base, but I don't think it was really like racist. I think it was
no, the man was being racist, or not racist, just discriminatory. He's not being racist because the guy's white, but like he's discriminating against him for being an immigrant. So,
which I could see in that movie basis.
I wish I could have shown this movie to you guys before we started. I really highly recommend it. I'll figure this one out. I'm sorry about that.
It was just a war movie.
There'll be a link somewhere here. Podcast people, I don't know.
Somewhere.
You'll have to watch the YouTube video to figure it out.
Anyway. Yeah, podcast people, come and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It would be very much appreciated. And YouTube people, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, it's hugely appreciate if you could subscribe to us. We probably don't clutter your subscription box that much because we post maybe once a week. And it just helps us out a ton.
There you go.
You know what I was thinking? Going back to the Immortal thing. Me and Sam like read a lot of like martial arts and like shonen animes or mangas or light novels, right? And they always like get to a point where like they outlive certain like lifespans, right? To the parents or like, something like that because like the key or like their movements and martial arts like make them expand their lifespan. And every time they do that, they don't really forget like their relatives and their friends and their experiences, but they move on and they know that as they progress and they kill more people, obviously, which is obviously you can look at it both
The point of the
they start to realize that, you know, these worlds can work on their own, and being a spectator and being this person that has a lot of power, what they do in their life doesn't really matter to you at all. If you want to be content and live in a cave, which is what a lot of like old powerful people are portrayed as in these like certain adventures and action films, they just sit in a cave and just do nothing because they know those ants, what they do doesn't really affect me. If I want to be content with my life, I'll be content.
those ants.
If I want to go to the peak and keep fighting and fight the good fight to move on, then I can do that as well. But it's up to your choice and what you want to do with your life, if you're immortal or not. And that's what's gonna make it. That's what's gonna make it. What you do.
I agree.
I'm gonna leave it on that.
I agree on that. I found the movie. The movie is called Greenland, and you can watch it on Hulu if you'd like. For you two, I have a Hulu subscription, so you'll be able to watch it. I'll send that to you.
I want to Greenland.
I do as well.
Oh, you do? Okay, well then, perfect.
Yeah.
Well then, yeah, you can just watch it. It's called
Actually,
Greenland. If not,
Yes.
I have one.
Wait, do you have Hulu with ads or no ads?
No ads. I don't like ads.
I'll take yours then. I have no ads.
Yeah. So
Wait, isn't Hulu? Is Hulu with ads not free?
Well, you have a choice.
no,
With
it's
ads, you have a
Hulu.
choice.
You can only watch it. There's like the $6 a month thing, and then there's the $11 a month, and $6 you can watch it, but it's with ads, and then $11
got it.
no ads, and then there's even higher levels, not worth it. But
Roku just comes with that shit. So
does Roku have ads?
Shout out Roku. No,
Roku does not come with it. You have to pay for it like monthly. No.
I'm pretty sure it came with something. I know it came with a subscription.
That happened to my dad.
know
My
what
dad got
subscription.
YouTube TV with Roku or something like that.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
regardless, thank you.
That guy
Sam,
named
for
John
showing us
Garrity
this.
is in the movie, and he's always like in all those action movies. Like he
What's
has
his
that
name?
beard. John Garrity.
Don't know.
Is he in Greenland, or are you referring to a different movie?
He's in Greenland. Yeah, he's in Greenland. But he's like, and always like he's always in those action movies because he's got that beard and like that face for action movies.
John
Giant
Garrity
dude face.
is the character, not the actor's name.
Are you sure? No.
His name is Gerard Butler. In fact,
no,
Gerard
that's the
Butler.
actor name.
The
Oh yeah,
actress,
you're right.
Gerard Butler was the Phantom in the Phantom of the Opera
Gerard Butler.
in 2001. So he's got a little musical thing, but he was a terrible Phantom. That movie sucks.
Was there?
But
a
I
movie
loved it as a
version
kid.
of the Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah, the movie version of the Phantom of the Opera.
No, I've never actually seen the movie version.
Oh, but you're right. He did London and Fallen and Angels Has Fallen, Olympus Has. Oh wow.
Told you. Oh look, he was also
He
doing
was
the
in
Hercules or some
300.
shit. Here you go, Sam. Right for you.
Oh, I recognize that. dude.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bruh, the Phantom.
He's in all the action movies.
My mom used to think he was really hot, but
He
I
is
don't really
handsome.
like
He's
him.
a handsome man.
Yeah, he looks like a handsome dude.
He's a handsome man.
All right, and with that, I think we will leave it off for this week. Again, comment down below. I forget what we asked you. Oh, what got you to listen to our podcast? How you found out about us.
If you have any questions for
Please.
us, you can leave it down there below. You could also email us at our email, which is thenoculturepodcast@gmail.com. Again, thenoculturepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to answer any of your questions. Thank you again. Her name was Jesslyn.
Yes.
Jesslyn, thank you very much again. And we'll be answering that question next week. And yeah, if you guys ever have any questions, let us know.
Or
Where
if
can
you'd
you
like
find
to
us?
share your, also if you'd like to share your opinion on anything we talk about, we are more than happy to respond to any other, more or less any comments that we get. If they're not talking about drip or bullying Nico, we're
Don't
more
do
than
that.
happy to respond and talk about it. So yeah, you can find me at some Schnee on, I guess, Instagram.
You can find me at Juliana McKenna everywhere.
And you can find me at Coffee Meets Bagel.
Thank you guys. We'll
out,
see you
guys.
next week.
Coffee Meets Bagels?
Yeah, it's another dating app.
No, it's not,
Okay.
bitch.
It is.
What? Show
Hold
me.
on.